Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. My name is Savannah Playford, the Director of Youth Ministry at Dixon United Methodist Church. Whenever you are watching this, welcome to today's daily devotion. As you can see, today's daily devotion is being recorded on Zoom, so please bear with us in case we have any connectivity problems. You can also see that I am not by myself for today's daily devotion. In case you don't know, these are some of our youth group members.
Hi, I'm Morgan.
I'm Gracie.
We wanted to share with you what we have been learning in 1 Corinthians chapter 12. Unity seems to be a big part of our society, especially during a local and a larger election. All we hear about is unity. I mean, we live in the United States of America. Usually, when people think of unity, we all think about being together as one, or being whole, or living in harmony. Although those are all good things, if we think that way, we could maybe lose the uniqueness and diversity that we all have. Just like many other questions or issues, the Bible can give us some guidance on what we should do with this topic. 1 Corinthians chapter 12 has the theme of spiritual gifts and diversity. The first 12 verses talk about spiritual gifts and give us an explanation as to what they are.
From what I understand, there are a lot of spiritual gifts that you can be gifted. Some people will have one, some people will have more than one. All of the spiritual gifts come from our one God, who we are all united under. We should all use them for good, because I know that there are some ways that some people can take advantage of them. I think that sometimes how we are different can split us up and make us feel excluded from other people, especially if they're like the same age as you and like you're trying to fit in. I know it can be hard because so many people have so many differences, and they make us all unique, all of our differences, and we're all united under one God, and He gave us all of those spiritual gifts so that we could share them with other people.
Exactly. We all have spiritual gifts, and we all can use those gifts in a different way. Gracie, what are some of your spiritual gifts?
For me, I would always say that my spiritual gifts are playing music, piano, ukulele, singing, flute, and I actually came up with an analogy. So in a band, you have the flutes and you have the trumpets and low brass, the drums, and we all play different instruments. We all do our thing, our own strengths, and but we all come together and we make really great music under our conductor. So
that's a perfect analogy, and that analogy is also like the analogy that Paul gives in the second half of chapter 12 in Corinthians. In this half of the book, he gives us the analogy that we are all like the human body and different parts. We all have different parts of the body. So for example, in chapter 12, verse 12, he says, Christ is just like the human body. A body is a unit and has many parts, and the parts of the body are one body, even though there are many. In verse 19, he goes on to say, if we were all the same body part, what would happen to the body?
I think that if we were all one body part, then we wouldn't work the way that God planned for us, and we wouldn't be able to help as many people as He's wanting us to help, because I know that just all of the parts fit together and make us one whole.
Exactly. It is essential that we are all a different body part and all use our spiritual gifts and our diversity for a good thing. For example, if you think of our body, we are all made up of the same common DNA code, yet the parts of our body, for example, the members, all look different and are treated differently. We all work differently, but we can all accomplish the same goals. So even if there is a great diversity in the body of Christ and in the body of the church, both in appearance and function, what we like, what we don't like, each member has a common root and a common goal, which is to spread the gospel for God. So how does these Bible verses relate to modern times and what we're going through today?
I think they relate to what we're going through today because of what I said before, how I know that our differences can make us feel excluded from other people. They can really divide us into different groups. But we should all be proud of our differences because we were given them for a reason, and they make us all united because God made us all perfect in His eyes. We're all equal. We're all beautiful to Him. and he made us each unique, and he put us on this earth to share our differences and our spiritual gifts, and to have a purpose.
Yeah, I think it's super important that people, take this verse into consideration, because we all have differences, and it's not only about loving each other for our differences, but using those differences to look at each other and learn how to work better with each other based off of those differences. Like maybe I'm better at something, Savannah's better at something, Morgan's better at something. We all have our strong suits, and that's how we can all work together. And I think that that's super important in today's society, where we're all pretty divided, and it can seem hard at times. But I think if we just look for the differences, look for who's better at what, I think it could really benefit us. So I think it's super important that we all look at this verse and feel inspired by it.
Exactly. This verse is super important for all of us to learn and to look at, but also to look deeper into ourselves. So as you go about your day and your week, think to yourself, what body part would you consider yourself to be? And how can you use that spiritual gift to be united not only with other Christians, but with other non-believers as well? How can we use our gifts for the better purpose of the whole world? And how can we be united together?